Now to Brazil, where a Supreme Court judge has ordered the social media platform X to be shut down in the country. That's after the company again flouted an order that he'd issued. X's owner, billionaire businessman Elon Musk, has become embroiled in a public dispute with Brazilian Supreme Court Judge Alexandre de Moraes, who ordered X to deactivate several accounts. Now, Justice Moraes says he's tackling political disinformation and attacks on his country's democracy. Elon Musk said the judge was censoring right-wing voices and refused to comply. Brazil's left-wing president, Luiz Inácio Lula de Silva, has also weighed in, declaring that Musk is not above the law.
Every single person who has investments in Brazil, no matter where they're from in the world, they're subject to the Brazilian Constitution and Brazilian laws. Having a lot of money doesn't allow anyone to disrespect that. This man has to accept the laws of this country, and if the Supreme Court makes a decision, he has to comply. It's true for me, it's true for him.
Fabio de Silva is a professor of Brazilian studies at the University of Oklahoma in the US. He joins us tonight from the Brazilian capital, Brasilia, where he's currently doing research. Welcome to DW, Professor. What does Justice Moraes think X has been doing?
Phil, thanks for having me, first of all. So Justice Moraes thinks, and he's correctly in thinking that way, that X is basically refusing to accept Brazilian laws and to comply with Brazilian judicial orders. There are some investigations going on in Brazil on individuals who used social media to violate Brazilian law, electoral law, as well as criminal law. Some of those investigations are being presided over by Justice Moraes. And in the course of those investigations, there have been some orders for Twitter or X to bring down some of those profiles and so on. And in the beginning, X would comply with those orders as just like other social media platforms. But after Mr. Musk bought the platform, he made it very clear that he did not accept those orders and that he thinks they amount to censorship.
Well, before Justice Moraes followed through with his threat, X announced on X that it would not comply with the court's instruction. Here's some of what appeared on the company's global affairs account today. Soon we expect Judge Alexandre de Moraes will order X to be shut down in Brazil simply because we would not comply with his illegal orders to censor his political opponents. Now, these enemies include a duly elected senator and a 16-year-old girl, amongst others. So, Professor, what is Elon Musk referring to there?
He's referring, Phil, to some of those investigations that I mentioned. So in this case, there was a senator who was using his account to, for instance, incite the military against the civilian government. In the other case that he mentioned, a profile of a young girl was used apparently by her father to dox a police officer who was working in one of those investigations. And so it was in that context that Justice Moraes ordered the platform to bring those profiles down. But Mr. Musk, as I mentioned, is refusing to do that. And he's claiming that this is censorship, which I do not agree with, because, as I mentioned, these decisions are being adopted in the context of investigations that look into violation of Brazilian laws.
It's an odd decision anyway, because censorship or not, you would think that working within a particular jurisdiction, you just follow the law. So is there something more going on there? Why does Elon Musk think that it's okay to disregard the laws in Brazil, where he wouldn't do that in the United States or even the European Union?
I believe, Phil, that not only Mr. Musk, but others around the world look at Brazil nowadays as a potential, case in which a stronger push to regulate social media has been attempted. So far, not successfully, but not only through the actions of Justice Moraes, but also through Congress that was deliberating over a bill last year. There have been attempts to, place some limits onto what social media platforms can do and what kinds of obligations they should have to, for instance, moderate content and avoid that misinformation as well as hate speech be disseminated on their platforms. I also think in the case of Mr. Musk, there is a commercial interest because apparently his business wasn't doing well in Brazil, so he was already trying or planning to moving that away from the country. And there seems to be also some kind of political, sympathy on the part of Mr. Musk for the Brazilian far right.
It's interesting you say that it's not doing well commercially in Brazil. I saw an estimate today that something like 40 million Brazilians, roughly a fifth of the population, access X at least once a month, which sounds like a massive market for Elon Musk now to sacrifice in this way.
It is a reasonable or sizable market for any social media platform, which is a reason why many people doubt that Musk would take things as far as he did. The information that we listen to here is that the branch here wasn't doing well commercially in terms of the ad that they are able to sell, for example, right? But yes, you're right that the platform is widely used in Brazil. I think it happens elsewhere as well. It's a platform that's a kind of niche platform, so it's very much used by journalists or by some internet businesses or by some academics to engage in exchanges of ideas. But yeah, it's a decent number, and I think Brazilians are going to miss X if it's really banned in the next couple of days.
And so tell us about the judge at the centre of this case, Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. Who is he?
He is actually, relatively conservative lawyer. He was a prosecutor in the state of São Paulo before entering politics. I think he brings some of that knack for investigation from his origins in the public prosecutor's career. He got to the Supreme Court during the term of President Nemer, who replaced President Dilma Rousseff after she was impeached. And, he's always been seen actually as a very conservative judge, very tough on crime judge or legal scholar even, which he also is. But that makes things very interesting because nowadays the Brazilian far right suggests that he's working in line with the president when they actually come from very different camps politically.
Good talking to you, Professor. Thanks for talking us through that. Brazil expert Professor Fabio de Silva from the University of Oklahoma. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
David Nemer is an associate professor in the Department of Media Studies and the interim director at the Latin American Studies program at the University of Virginia. He joins us now from Charlottesville. David, thank you so much for being here. Why is Brazil's Supreme Court shutting down access to the social media platform X?
Well, basically, Elon Musk has refused to comply with the local laws. In a nutshell, Supreme Justice Alexandre de Moraes has been overseeing an investigation about disinformation campaigns that took place during the 2022 presidential elections. And Twitter, or X, was one of the main platforms where these misinformations were spread. And Justice Moraes has asked the content to be taken down. However, Musk and X have been not complying with the court orders. So Justice Moraes has sent a couple of fines for Moraes and X. They have refused to pay them. Musk has shut down the office. And now, because there's no way for the Supreme Court to communicate with X's office, now it came down to the suspension of access to X in Brazil.
Just remind us of the background of this case. Justice Moraes wanted X to block certain accounts. What was the problem with these accounts under Brazil's laws?
Well, these accounts were violating electoral laws. Brazil has very specific laws when it comes to electoral period. when parties are executing their campaigns, certain contents are not allowed to be spread on social media or any other forms. Brazil has very specific laws as well about the internet. So anytime a post violates the laws, then the courts can demand the platforms to take them down. If the platforms refuse to do so, they can be also liable for that content. So they can also be prosecuted if they don't comply with the takedown notice.
So what will Elon Musk have to do now to get X back in Brazil?
Well, he's got some very expensive fines to pay. He does need a legal representative in the country to comply with some of the court orders. He has been doubling down in the sense that he does not want to go back. And also Justice Moraes also has doubled down, saying that he's going to go after him. He has frozen a couple of bank accounts that belongs to Starlinks, and Starlinks belongs also to Elon Musk. So neither of them is willing to stop. So we'll see how this messy field ends up.
Well, that's David Nemer with the University of Virginia. Thank you so much.